This is going to be an interesting review today. I don't think a lot of people are going to agree with it. But judging by these reviews, seems like people have very mixed opinions.
What the hell is that?
Hello everyone, welcome back to a brand new movie review on the channel today, and today I'm going to be looking at the anticipated Infinity Pool. Now this film was directed by Brandon Cronenberg and stars such people as Mia Goth and Alexander Skarsgård. And how am I going to explain what this movie's about? Oh dear. So this movie's about a writer and he's in the slumps. He hasn't had a good book in a while, he's trying to figure out ideas, so he goes on a vacation. And he goes on a vacation with his girlfriend. And then while on vacation, he meets this couple that are big fans of his, and they actually get into some trouble with the law. And in this country that they're in, there's a way they can actually basically skip their punishment for the law. And I don't want to spoil it because it makes the film better, but then antics ensue and it just becomes a big thing. Now a little context before I get into this movie. I was really excited for this movie. Brandon Cronenberg, the literal son of David Cronenberg, who directed The Fly, a really great body horror movie that I actually really enjoy. By all this information, I was really excited. It really looked like from the trailers it was going to be a lot of what his dad did, and it was going to be a lot of that really body horror. It said it was going to be pushing the limits of rated R, and I was like, oh my god, this movie is going to be so amazing. And I watched it, and I have thoughts about it that I don't think a lot of people are going to agree with, but that's a review, that's my opinion. It's my opinion. But I think that this movie is okay. You know, I'm going to get into why I think it's only okay. There are certain things that bug me about this movie that my intro made painfully obvious. I just want to get into it. Now, before anything, I want to go over the performances. Mia Goth and Alexander Skarsgård are wonderful in this movie. They are so good in this movie. They have such perfect performances, I feel like. They honestly feel perfect. They have such real performances. They feel very like real people. They act the shit out of this movie. They absolutely do, especially Mia Goth. She transitions from this really just like centered person to a full-on psychopath by the end of the movie. And she does such a great job. And this is actually very reminiscent of what she did in Pearl, which was an extremely great movie and underrated. Not a lot of people talk about that movie, it seems like. But she's insanely good, and I'm so happy she's getting more of these horror roles because she really succeeds them, and she does a fantastic job here in everything she does. And Alexander Skarsgård also is wonderful in this movie. He was in The Northman, which actually made my top 10 best movies of last year, and once again, he's great in the movie. I like his performance, and I thought he was a really good actor in the movie. And that applies for everyone, just to let you know. And another thing in this movie I really like was the cinematography. Visually, this movie is stunning. There are a lot of really nice shots in this movie, a lot of really great sequences that are filmed really well. We'll get to those sequences later, but they're well filmed. Like, they look really nice. They're really good films to look at. Like, it's a very good film to look at. And oh my god. Sorry, I'm trying to like bypass some of the things that I don't want to spoil, because wow. But another thing I really like about this movie is the main theme of the movie, which is losing your humanity. Losing your passion for humanity and your faith in life. This is a theme that's very prevalent in this movie, and I really enjoyed the different direction it went. Which brings me to my main thing. I really like the premise of the movie. I don't want to spoil it because I don't know if they spoiled it in the trailer. I went into it not knowing basically anything because I didn't want to be spoiled. So I'm going to take that from the point of view of my review and not tell you guys specifically what's going on. But it's a really cool concept. I really dug the concept that they went for. It made for a really messed up idea for a film, and how someone could slowly lose their humanity and just look at life at a different angle in the worst ways possible. And it was really intriguing to watch. Like, it was a very interesting movie to watch, and I really liked that part of the film. And another thing I want to say too, this movie actually has some pretty good tension in it. It's actually a thriller, which, yeah, but it has really good tension in it that leads up to, honestly, pretty good moments. I say good and loosely because I'm going to talk about that later, but they were payoff moments that honestly did fit the tension that they were going for. And the actors' performances in certain sequences definitely lent itself to that, and it made it 10 times more real. It made it feel genuine. It made the tension and the fear, it made it feel real, which is a good thing and a bad thing, which I will get to. But for the most part, it was good, and I highly highly commend the actors and just them in general for making the tension this real and this, just raw. And I also want to say a lot of the practical is really good. The gore, it looks real. Like I will say, 100%. All the gore looks real. All the violence is incredibly convincing to be real. And it was really well done, honestly, from a conceptual point of view. Well, with all this great stuff, I need to talk about what drags this movie into the dirt for me. Not completely. I don't hate this movie. But this movie crosses a line. And it's what a lot of people have been talking about. They say they've been stretching the R rating a lot with this movie, and there are certain sequences that definitely do that, which I'm gonna say it right now, I'm not a huge fan of. Like, I am okay with gore in my movies. I'm okay with heavy themes in my movies, and really strange things that really mess me up. But this movie hit it to an all-new high, I feel, and it really bugged me. Like, it really disturbed me. When you make a movie like this, I feel that there's a certain line that I feel you shouldn't cross. There's a line in the movie where it separates itself from being disgusting, but super uncomfortable and disturbing. And this movie goes into disgusting for me. There are a lot of parts in this movie where I was just incredibly disturbed, and not in a good way. I just sat there and was like, oh my god, like this, I actually wanted it to stop at a certain point. Like there's one sequence in the movie where I was just like, okay, this is too much. Just let it stop, because this is too much. This is too much. Like, I understand the main premise they're going for in these certain sequences, because they do have a purpose, but I don't feel they were entirely deserved, and they're not clear enough, and it honestly comes off slightly like shock value in certain sequences. And I know a lot of people can say, oh Gavin, you just don't understand it. You don't understand that type of filmmaking. You just don't get it. Not true. I do get it. I've watched films like this in the past. I understand what they're going for. You can't say that I don't get it, even though for my excuse for not liking it, that's just not true. Because I like certain aspects of this movie. I love the main premise, but it goes way too far in my opinion and makes for an incredibly uncomfortable experience that I sat there with people. There was a lot of people in my theater, and you could just tell the mood completely changed in certain sequences. You could just tell that certain people were so uncomfortable, and they sat there just like, and I think that's a really big problem, honestly, because you don't want people going to a movie and just feeling uncomfortable and just like, well, that was an experience I never want to have again. You don't want to have that. You want to hit that fine line where people are like, that was uncomfortable, but I was enjoying myself. Like, it comes off of me being crazy, but there's that line where you want people to feel comfortable, but like also uncomfortable. It's a really weird sort of situation, and I really wish I could explain it better, but I'm trying to get it off like so. And there's also certain sequences in the movie where I feel it was honestly just shock value. There are certain sequences where things just happen, and they're really raunchy and they're really gross, and they didn't need to be in the movie. Like, they didn't need to be there, in my opinion. You had a good premise. You didn't need to do these certain things, and they do. And I'm not a huge fan of those moments, and that's all I'm gonna say about it, because thinking about it now, it gives me flashbacks, and I don't want to think about it. And I also feel, this is a little complaint that I had, I don't know if a lot of people have this film doesn't feel like a coherent story. Like, you understand what's going on, and in some scenes you actually don't understand what's going on, but you can kinda understand where they're going. But it doesn't feel like a coherent story. It feels like a sequence of events that sort of lean up with each other and sort of explain what's going on, but it didn't feel like a real, like, coherent story at all. It felt like it was kind of mishmashed, which leads to my other thing. I think the pacing of this movie was honestly kind of bad. It was going from place to place to place to place. Certain sequences would be super fast, certain sequences would draw themselves out, certain scenes you don't even understand why they got as much screen time as they did, and it just didn't make for a very good experience. Like, I really was just like, wow, this is going all over the place. And I couldn't really get sucked into it completely. Like, I was kind of invested by the premise that they were going for. I was interested to see where they would go. But that also led to a finale that I understand what they were going for, but it wasn't great. Like, I didn't really enjoy that part of the movie at all. It's not an awful movie. Like I said, a lot of people are giving it weird reviews where a lot of people are saying it's amazing. A lot of people say it's garbage. A lot of people in my theater, I could tell a lot of people really didn't like it. I heard people after the theater go, well, that was shit. Like, that was bad. And then there are certain people who enjoyed it, and I know enjoyed it, because I brought my 3 friends. I thought it was okay. My one friend really enjoyed it, and then my other two friends hated it with all their might. It's very divisive. Not everyone's going to agree with everyone's opinion. It's very much one of those films. But for me, I'm going to give this film a 5 out of 10. There are a lot of really competent elements about this movie. The acting, the cinematography, the gore, and how it's perceived is all, and the tension is really good. But it was just a super uncomfortable experience that had certain things happen in the movie that didn't need to be there, and it just felt like more of a shock value thing, and it didn't really feel like the plot was going anywhere in a cohesive way, and I really didn't enjoy that element of the movie. But anyways, if you like what you saw here, please like and subscribe down below for more content on the channel coming pretty damn soon, and I'm gonna see y'all in the next one. See ya.